off tonight was Duke playing without Cooper Fly gets out to a 21-point lead on North Carolina. North Carolina comes storming back. They cut the lead to 1 with the ball and get fouled with 4.1 seconds left. Van Allen Lubin goes to the free throw line, misses the first, makes the second, but there was a lane violation on Jalen Withers. And then Duke gets the ball, knocks down a couple free throws. North Carolina misses a 3 at the buzzer. And it is the Duke Blue Devils who advance to the ACC Tournament Championship game. But Jeff Goodman, the story here, it's not Duke winning. It's a lane violation. It's North Carolina losing. And it is the fact that North Carolina is now 1-12 in quad one opportunities. What is your biggest takeaway and the results that happened with North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, just how it went down at the end. Obviously, you were there. You saw the entire game. I saw the end of the game and how it transpired. And Carolina's season looked like it was done, right? I mean, they're down 20+, season over. And then they come storming back only to have their season potentially end on a lane. I've never seen anything like this in my entire career of watching or covering college basketball, a lane violation like that. I don't know exactly what happened. We'll talk about that in a minute. But, you know, Van Allen Lubin at the line, he's got a chance to win this game, first of all. And he misses the first free throw. And then the second free throw again, with everything on the line to send it to overtime potentially. He hits the free throw, and Jalen Withers almost looks like he tried to fake out the Duke player standing next to him at that point into jumping over the lane. I don't know what he was thinking. Again, you know, you were there. You saw it. You heard Jalen Withers and Hubert Davis talk about it afterward. But the big story, obviously, is this game, not just this play, also a missed free throw before that, and plenty of other things that put them in a 20-plus point hole have probably cost North Carolina a chance to go to the NCAA tournament, because at 1-12 in quad one games, there's no way in hell that the Tar Heels should be in the NCAA tournament. No way in hell.
There is one way in hell, and that is who is the chair of the selection committee, which is something that is going to be brought up quite a bit over the course of the next but it's going to be brought up over the course of the next 48 hours. I'm just kind of, I'm tongue in cheek here, but Mike, I'm going to come to you, and then I'll talk a little bit about what happened after the game with Jalen Withers and Hubert Davis. But UNC, Xavier, Indiana, Texas, it feels like there are 3 spots available for those 4 teams, with the looming potential bid thieves of the American, the A-10, the Big West, and Boise State / Colorado State in the Mountain West. So 1-12 in quad one games. You got a quad 3 loss, and you have 13 losses overall, only 2 fewer than a Texas team that has 7 quad one wins. What is the argument? I legitimately, what is the argument for North Carolina being in the NCAA tournament over some of those other teams on the bubble?
I mean, I think it would have to be just the sheer volume of wins. I mean, that's really the only argument at this point. I mean, they have had positive momentum since midseason, heading to where we are now in March. And what's crazy is they went toe to toe tonight, and I get it wasn't a full strength Duke, but you know, they just have the ability for long stretches to show that they are an NCAA tournament type team. And not only that, like, they look at times like they can win an NCAA tournament game. But unfortunately, it's an entire body of work thing. The net is certainly a positive for them. You know, the Stanford loss is probably the only one you could look at that's like, well, that's maybe a bad loss. The other losses really aren't horrible losses. So it's unfortunate, because when you look at the rest of the last 4 in here, Indiana's out, Xavier's out, San Diego State's out. Like, this was a massive, massive opportunity for North Carolina. But unlike all these other bubble teams, I know Texas played Tennessee today, but, you know, 2 of your last 3 cracks at it were against arguably the best team in the country. And that's a tough task, the toughest task, I think, for any of these bubble teams. And they were right there tonight and had a chance to close it out. Rob, I'm curious for you. I mean, what was there confusion at all when you were in the arena on the on the lane violation initially?
No. It was so. I was sitting directly in front of. I don't want to say their names because I think on one of the videos that I have that I'm going to post, you might hear some things that maybe they don't want publicly attached to their name. But there were three famous Duke players sitting behind me, and I didn't have the greatest angle because I couldn't actually see Jalen Withers from where I was sitting because the Duke player in front of him was right there. But as soon as it happened, the guy right behind me goes, lane violation. And then you hear the whistle, and then they call the lane violation. So I expected it to happen. And then when you go back and look at the video, guys, Jalen afterwards said that he just mistimed it. He thought he was trying to get in, and there's a little bit of a hitch in Van Allen Lubin's shot. But I'm 99% convinced that he knew that there was a hitch in the shot, and his plan was he was going to fake to go in and hope that Patrick Ngamba would bite on the fake, like trying to draw somebody off sides, right? And what happened was he stepped too far forwards and put his foot on the line, and he got caught with the lane violation. And this has not been the easiest end of seasons for Jalen Withers. This isn't the first time that he's done that maybe wasn't the most intelligent play. Is something that ended their season. He had that dumb three against Alabama. I don't want to say dumb. Sorry, let me rephrase that. He took a bad three at the end of the game against Alabama that cost them an NCAA tournament last year. And he had another shot this year in a game. I can't remember what exactly it was off the top of my head, but he's had some rough end-of-game scenarios. And I thought it was really telling. And one of the reasons why people around that North Carolina program want to keep Hubert want to keep him around for another year. So what happened was after the game, the way that it works is that they bring the players and the coach to the press conference. And as soon as they leave the locker rooms open for 30 minutes. Now, where they are in this arena, you can't go into the locker room because it's too small. There's not enough space when you have like 15 of those video cameras trying to get the same shot in the same interview. So they bring all the players out that you want to interview. Obviously, the only people that we wanted to talk to are Hubert Davis and Jalen Withers. So Hubert Davis was at the podium, and we're waiting for Jalen Withers to get taken out. You have 30 minutes to get in the locker room. They close the locker room 30 minutes after Hubert leaves for the podium and comes back. And so we thought that we weren't going to get Jalen. We thought that it was over. And then what happened was Hubert walks out with Jalen with his arm around his shoulder the whole way, and then walks up with him and is very clearly right there supporting him. And the very first thing he says is like, I love this. We wouldn't be here without Jalen Withers. I love him. I support him. He has the full backing of the staff. And I thought it was a really, really classy gesture, and one that is just, it epitomizes, Jeff, why Hubert Davis is a guy that people at North Carolina like and want around.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what you hear about Hubert Davis from absolutely everybody, right? As class as it gets. I've dealt with him plenty of times, and I'm not surprised he did this. And I think it's a lesson, too, for Jalen Withers, right? It's a life lesson. Get out there and, face the music and be accountable, and it helps you grow up rather than just going and hiding in the locker room. It probably helps you a little bit, too, to face it, get through it, understand it. I'm sure he'd like to have it back. I feel horrible for the kid. Not a kid. I mean, he's a little bit older now, but you feel horrible for that split decision and that moment that he would love to have back right now. But again, we'll see what happens. It's not like they're completely done because, as you mentioned before, Rob, not like these other teams have blown us away. That's why they're all in the bubble. And you can justify anything with these teams on the bubble. You can come up with a metric. I can come up with something for each of these teams. And I know the committee members can do that too, to justify putting each one of those teams in over one another. So we'll see what happens. Bubba Cunningham, obviously being the chair, throws a little bit of a wrinkle in that. The North Carolina athletic director is not allowed to sit in the room when they're discussing his team. But no matter what happens, it's going to be a major topic of conversation, probably the first topic when they unveil the brackets on Sunday night.